NASA and SpaceX have put off the launch of a Cargo Dragon spacecraft for at least 2 weeks because of a problem with how hypergolic propellants were loaded before launch. The space agency had planned to launch the spacecraft on June 12th, but on Monday evening, they told reporters that the launch would have to be put off. So, when is the Cargo Dragon set to take off? Let's find out. Welcome to Techmo. In this video, we will discuss the most recent update about the SpaceX Cargo Dragon launch. But before we make it to the video, make sure you subscribe to our channel for more premium content and hit the notification bell to be the first to watch our videos. NASA has a contract with Commercial Resupply Services 2 for Cargo Dragon to send cargo to the ISS. In December of 2020, Dragon 2 flew for the first time with cargo on board. It does this job along with the Cygnus spacecraft made by Northrop Grumman Innovation Systems. The Dream Chaser spacecraft, made by Sierra Nevada Corporation, is expected to join them after 2022. Dragon 2 can be used in some ways more than once, which could save a lot of money. Both SpaceX and NASA agreed to use the same Crew Dragon capsules for NASA flights. This was a change from earlier plans by SpaceX to use new capsule for every crewed flight for NASA. Crew Dragon can fit 7 astronauts, while Cargo Dragon can carry 3,307 kilograms to the ISS. There is a 3-screen control panel, a toilet with a curtain for privacy, and the docking hatch above the seats. In both versions, 4 main parachutes are used to land on the ocean. The parachute system in the previous Dragon capsule had to be completely redesigned because it had to work in a number of different ways if the launch had to be stopped early. Crew Dragon has 8 side-mounted Super Draco engines that are grouped in redundant pairs in 4 engine pods. Each engine can make 71 kilonewton of thrust that can be used to stop the launch if something goes wrong. Each pod also has 4 Draco thrusters that can be used to change the pod's orientation and move it around in orbit. A process called direct metal laser sintering is used to print the combustion chamber of the Super Draco engine out of Inconel, which is an alloy of nickel and iron. Engines are protected by nacelles so that if one fails, the problem doesn't spread to the other engines. Once Dragon 2 is in space, it can connect to the ISS on its own. Dragon 1 was docked using the Canadarm2 robotic arm, which required the ISS crew to do a lot more work. Crew Dragon's pilots can still dock the spacecraft by using manual controls connected to a computer that looks like a static tablet. The spacecraft can be used in a full vacuum, and the crew will wear spacesuits designed by SpaceX to protect them in case of an emergency that causes the cabin pressure to drop quickly. Also, if there is a leak up to an equivalent orifice of 6.35 millimeters in diameter, the spacecraft will be able to return safely. Composite carbon-wrapped titanium spherical tanks hold propellant and helium pressurant for both launch aborts and maneuvering in space. During re-entry, a PKX heat shield keeps the capsule safe. A reusable nose cone protects the vehicle and the docking adapter during ascent and re-entry, pivoting on a hinge to allow docking in space and returning to the covered position for re-entry and future launches. The trunk is the third part of the spacecraft that holds it together. It has solar panels, heat-removing radiators, and fins that help keep the spacecraft stable in the air during emergency landings. The solar panels that could be moved on the old Cargo Dragon have been taken away and are now built into the trunk. This gives the vehicle more space, reduces the number of moving parts, and makes it even safer. During the launch of the CRS-23 on August 29th of 2021, a new feature called the Extend the Lab was shown off. Our new Cargo Dragon vehicle can also be used as a lab to help science and research move forward. This is something we call Extend the Lab. It allows some power payloads to stay on Dragon so that they can be tested for the rest of the mission. This is especially helpful when there isn't much room on station for more science or there isn't any room at all. It also cuts down on the time it takes for the crew to move cargo into and out of the Dragon. For CRS-23, 3 Extend the Lab payloads will launch with the mission, and a 4th, which is already on the space station, will be added to Dragon once the spacecraft is docked. For missions that don't involve docking, the capsule docking adapter, which is usually used to connect to the International Space Station, can be replaced by a dome-shaped piece of plexiglass. This gives 360-degree views of space and Earth, like the cupola module on the International Space Station, to keep people interested and fill the space left when the docking adapter is taken off during flight. The Inspiration 4 flight was the first time the dome was used. On May 6 of 2015, the pad abort test went well at the leased SLC-40 by SpaceX. 99 seconds after the Super Draco engines were turned on, Dragon landed safely in the ocean to the east of the launch pad. For the pad abort test, a Dragon 2 and trunk that were ready to fly were used, but they were placed on a truss instead of a full Falcon 9 rocket. The test vehicle was equipped with a crash test dummy with a set of sensors to measure acceleration loads and forces at the crew seat. The other 6 seats were loaded with weights to simulate the weight of a full passenger load. The goal of the test was to show that there was enough total thrust, total impulse, and controllability to do a safe pad abort. After the flight, a problem with the fuel mixture ratio in one of the 8 Super Draco engines was found. This caused the engine to underperform, but it didn't have a big effect on the flight. SpaceX tested Dragon's ability to hover on November 24, 2015, at the company's rocket development facility in McGregor, Texas. In a video, the spaceship is shown hanging from a cable and turning on its Super Draco engines. It then stays in the air for about 5 seconds, balancing on its 8 engines that are firing with less force to match the force of gravity. The test vehicle was the same Dragonfly capsule that was used for the pad abort test earlier in 2015. As of 2022, Crew Dragon is the only human-rated orbital transport spacecraft in operation in the US. It is also the only reusable crewed spacecraft and the only reusable cargo spacecraft. Its main job is to take people to and from the International Space Station as part of NASA's Commercial Crew Program. It replaces the Space Shuttle, which stopped taking people into orbit in 2011. After 2022, the Boeing Starliner will take over this role. Crew Dragon is also used for commercial flights, some of which go to the ISS. It is expected to be used to take people to and from Axiom Space's planned space station. NASA and SpaceX have decided to postpone the next launch of the company's Cargo Dragon for a 3rd time after finding a small leak near one of the thrusters. NASA found a possible leak on June 7th, a few days before Cargo Dragon was set to launch on June 12th. As a result, the International Space Station resupply mission was put on hold indefinitely. After another week of analysis, the agency said on June 14th that SpaceX had narrowed down the problem to a single leaking Draco thruster valve inlet joint that needed to be replaced. This meant that the launch of the CRS-25 couldn't happen before July 11th. NASA said that the scope of SpaceX's mitigation work has grown after another 2 weeks of work. This means that the mission will be delayed a 3rd time. CRS-25 is now set to launch from the LC-39A pad at NASA's Kennedy Space Center on July 14th, most likely after sunset. Due to the small leak of highly toxic and volatile monomethyl hydrazine fuel, which would cause contamination, SpaceX has decided to replace a number of other parts. One likely reason for the latest delay is that SpaceX, out of an abundance of caution, took the landing chutes off the CRS-25 Dragon so they could be checked. Due to the amount of time and work this will take, SpaceX has decided to replace the potentially contaminated parachute with a new one while it inspects the item. This will cause a small delay, but it will save a lot more time if the current parachute isn't deemed safe to fly after the inspection. CRS-25 is one of the 6 Falcon 9 missions that might take off in July. So that's all for today's video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to watch more videos like this one, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so that you will always be notified.